Hi, Kristen. Welcome back to the podcast. How's it going today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about our topic today.
Same. I think this is a huge pain point, which leads me to why would a listener actually press play and listen to this episode? What pain point are we solving today?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about some of the Google shifts that are hurting your traffic and kind of the AI crisis that's going on that is causing a lot of uncertainty for creators. And we're going to talk about monetization and what's the future and what's next and what's happening now.
Yeah, perfect. All of that is very, very relevant here in, where are we? April of 2026. So excited to
Yes.
dig into this. So to start, give us a little background on you and Recifix, if you don't mind.
Yeah, um so I hold a PhD in research. I've been in food research for all of my career, starting at Kellogg, and I landed at my dream job at a company called Raptive, which I'm sure most of you are very familiar with. And I was doing research for the top creators there. What I saw were two kind of key problems on both sides of the marketplace, which was Raptive creators in general were really constantly having to see traffic, constantly on that like treadmill and that grind of traffic, and the uncertainty around traffic and not having a lot of control over their audiences. And then on the user side, I'm seeing this really big glaring problem of the user experience and how they're not satisfied with the ads on the page. And that led me to actually build a company called Recifix, which what we're trying to do is solve that problem on both sides of the market, where we give creators a monetization layer that is reoccurring and compounding, built on the audience trust that they've already built within their audience. But then also on the other side, providing a clean meal planning experience where users can come and meal plan, shop, and track, or I'll say we plan, uh, find, plan, and shop the creator recipes. So they're getting that better experience, all while the creator is getting paid.
Yeah, that's amazing. Such a great tool. And I think that solves so many of the problems that we're talking about today.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So we built traffic, a lot of us listening, in a much different way. We built our businesses on relying on Google traffic, right? So how is that shifting now, do you think?
Yeah, so I think, the biggest elephant in the room is AI. AI is really changing the way that people search, and it's changing the way that even Google is seeing decreases in their usage as well for users. So AI is really kind of causing this experience where I, as a user, can come and get a recommendation, and it's not overwhelming, it's calm. And then I go directly through AI and I completely skip the website in general. So that's your content completely being skipped. Um, and so we're seeing kind of this cannibalization that AI is causing, where they're not sending traffic to blogs, or they are sending traffic to one blog. Then we're also seeing the typical issues, right? Like Google consistently updates every 1 to 2 years. Their most recent one was the helpful content update, if I'm remembering.
Mm.
And we saw, like, I think Mediavine reported some of their creators lost like 60% of their traffic overnight.
Mm.
So it's a huge, and I think this is a constant shift that you're seeing. But I'd say AI is kind of the biggest, most scary, because especially for recipe creators, where now AI is getting really good at making recipes. 6 months ago, which is such a short amount of time, 6 months ago, it wasn't accurate and the ingredients weren't accurate. Now it's getting so much better. But yeah, so I would say that.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer.
No, I think that's really accurate. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are becoming more and more just dependent on AI, right? Like it's kind of their go-to for, like you said, recipes, but everything else.
Yeah.
My husband is constantly like, I need that just last night. I busted him. He was like, I need a chicken wing rub recipe because we both have different stomach issues. And he was like, there's no other way I could have found this. So I was giving him a hard time. Like, you just got a recipe from AI. And he's like, but there's no other way. So we're just so dependent on it right now, don't you think?
I agree. I think there's kind of two dependencies. We as users are becoming dependent on it because it's making our lives quite a bit easier. Um, but I think there's kind of a detriment when it comes to users because we are seeing that it does ease our experience. I mean, even I have used AI to find a recipe, and it's more of just like that quick, tell me what's for dinner. This is what I have in my pantry. Um, but I think there's another side to this too, that creators are trying to shift their strategy to become more dependent on AI so that they can show up in the number one search.
Mm.
So instead of creating layers that kind of build defenses against discovery or continuing to depend on discovery, they're becoming even more dependent and just trying to play the same game. So that's two sides of the dependency.
Yeah. So how do we deal with this? Because I feel like with anything else, resisting it, fighting it is never the answer. So so what do we do?
Against the power.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think if I were a food creator today, I think that the thing that I would be doing is building in diversification. And I think we've heard from a lot of experts for like 5 years at least,
Yeah.
maybe even more than that. I know when I was at Raptive, everything was diversify, diversify, diversify. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean, hey, I need to diversify and show up on Google and Facebook and Instagram. No, what it really means, because those are still discovery layers. What it really means is diversifying the way that you get your income and you get your traffic. So, you can still rely on Google, you can still rely on Instagram and those audiences that you built, but finding other ways to monetize. So, whether that is building in a subscription layer to your you offer some sort of expertise for your users, building in and having people pay for that. That's the diversification that we really mean, not just diversifying across search. Like now
Yeah.
we're having to become AI dependent. Um, so, I mean, I think even you are a great example of diversification. You have a food blog where your users come, you get traffic monetization. I don't mean to spill the secrets of your business, but I think a lot of people already know this, but
I
you
have no
get, you
secrets.
get, right. You get monetization from the ads on your page. But then you also have a master's class and you have food bloggers coming to you to talk about your experience as a food blogger as well. And you've built monetization layers around that. And that's kind of what that means. So you have two different income streams. I'm sure you have more, I hope. But you have two different income streams where you're getting traffic from and income from to build defense layers against those changes in that are coming and are happening.
Yeah, I think it's more important than ever to do this. Like you said, we've heard it forever. All the experts are like, you have to diversify. And we've just kind of
Yeah.
been like, yeah, I know, but it's so easy to let the ad income roll in, right? And now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we really have to pay attention to this and kind of what's happening with my basement right now, where everything was stripped down and we just have to focus on, okay, here's the foundation. How do we build this so it's nice and strong? And then we can kind of rebuild, the rest of it around that foundation. So it feels like a painful place to be for a lot of people, myself included. My traffic took a hit massively in the past year.
Sorry.
So I mean, I've strangely not been upset about it because I see it as an opportunity to rebuild in a way that's sturdier and maybe healthier and a little bit more robust in the end. It's funny that what is going on in my house is mirroring exactly how I feel about my business. But it is. it's an opportunity for us to just think about how to make it more reliable and solidified and all of that. Yeah. So try not to see it as a bad thing, right? If you can wrap your head around, like, this is a good thing to rebuild in new, different ways to think around diversification. Yeah. Okay. So what else do we need to know? So the diversification is important. There are other ways to monetize. What else should we be thinking about?
I think one of the things that creators in general, food creators, have a really cool advantage. At Recifix, we try to build our brand around connections, and food is one powerful way to connect us all. And food creators sit at this kind of unique space where they're relying on food. Their audience comes to them because they need something, and it's evergreen, right? We are never going to not need a recipe. We're never going to not ask what's for dinner. We ask that every single night. Very relatable. But food creators have this kind of advantage because they already are trying to connect to their audience through something that they want to connect with, which is food. So food creators are great at building these relationships and building strong, trusting relationships with their audiences. And so if you build in that foundation of trust, if you start there and say, okay, I've got this audience and they love me for XYZ, right? Like knowing your audience. They love me because I am a relatable, easy to make recipes. They come to me time and time again because of that. That's why they join my email list. And building layers around that trust and leveraging that trust is going to help you win in the end. Like, we're seeing creators that have those larger subscriber lists that are shielded against the traffic or the algorithm changes because they can go direct with their audience, and they're not as reliant on the algorithm changes and on AI. And so they haven't felt that pain of like losing their traffic overnight. And maybe they have, but because they've got that super user of an audience right at their fingertips that they can communicate to with directly, and send recipes to directly, and they're going direct to their website rather than having that middleman. I'd say that's probably the most powerful thing for creators. And then again, adding in those layers where you're like, okay, what does my audience want from me? Is it a product? Is it a digital product? Is it, something that I can create for them that enhances their experience on my website and that I can charge for? Those are the kind of things that are going to help you diversify and help you lean on the trust that you've already built with your audience.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. And the humanity part too with AI, I feel like people more and more are going to just lean into the humanity and knowing that you're real, that you're human, that you are authentic, and that you have opinions and you're human. I mean, it all comes down to that. AI is great, but at the end of the day, people like getting recipes from humans. I just totally believe that.
I completely agree with that. I think there's one advantage that human creators have, and that's that right now, at least, AI cannot replicate your voice. It can't replicate without your oversight, right? We can type in, hey, rewrite this email in my voice, right? But it can't replicate your voice without your oversight. It can't replicate your community, and it can't replicate the trust that you've built with that community. And so I think we still have, as food creators, as bloggers or content creators in general, like, we still have the advantage in that we can make these connections and we can build that trust with people. And I think moving forward, that's going to be really, really important to build up some defenses. I know I've said defenses a lot, but I think that's what it is. You're building in these extra layers and some defenses against what's going to continue to shift.
Yeah, right. So Recifix, how does that help to solve some of these problems we're talking about?
I love that you asked. And I think that it solves most of the problems for everybody. So what we're trying to do with Recifix is to help creators. So I think there's kind of two things that I saw at when I was talking to audiences, is that they don't want to pay for one creator's recipes. They want variety. They want a collection of recipes. And so as a user, when you come on, you get the finding and you get discovery. So you can find recipes from every creator and there's no gatekeep. So when you subscribe, you get access to every creator on the page. So it acts both as a discovery barrier, but also as a subscription barrier, or not barrier, addition.
Yeah, solution. Yeah.
Solution. Thank you. And so and then also it provides just a great meal planning experience for our users. Then on the creator side, what we're really trying to do is be genuinely creator first and really build in a monetization layer that is reoccurring and compounding. But also try not to create more work for you, because you've already built this entire business. You already have a laundry list of things to do. And this is really meant to leverage the tasks that you're already used to, leverage the audience that you've already built, and leverage the recipes that you've already created. And so as a creator, when you come on, you upload your recipes. We have a minimum of 10 recipes that we want you to upload to be active. And they're recipes that are already on your website. We use canonical links, so they don't we don't touch your SEO. We keep that safe for you. And it acts as a backlink as well too. So that's kind of a nice little bonus as well. But as a creator, you come on, you add your recipes, and then when you're ready, you share it with your audience. And you share on the discovery platforms that you're already on with the trusted audience that you've already built. And as those users come in, you get the credit for that subscription. And as long as they stay a subscriber, you continue to keep that subscription. So year 1, they subscribe. Year 2, they subscribe. That is your income. And then naturally that compounds, because as you grow your audience on these other platforms, you're also sending them to Recifix to grow your income there as well. And the reason we can do that is because we're really, really focused on the user experience and making sure that it's optimal so that users want to stay and want to participate in a better ecosystem.
Yeah. So I think you already said this, but I just want to pull this out because I know this is probably going to be the number one question people have. And that is the recipes that we put on Recifix are not searchable on Google, right? So we're not going to compete with our own content.
Yeah, and so we use what's called canonical links. And essentially you keep your SEO, and because there is a paywall, you can't actually search a recipe from Recifix on Google. You can search for Recifix on Google, but you can't actually search for a recipe on Google. And that's kind of where we really wanted to make it as easy as possible. And it's like, how do we do that? We can't have exclusive recipes. We want exclusive. So if you want to put exclusive recipes on here, that will make it so much more exciting for users. But we wanted just a space where it's taking your work that you've already put into recipes, and just repurposing it to leverage for a diverse income stream.
Yeah. How are you guys getting your users on the platform now, and do you have plans to expand that?
So what we really want to do is we do not seek out users, or organic users, we'll call them. We want to empower our creators to go out and get users, so that every user is attached to a creator, and every subscription is then attached to a creator that they get credit for, and they get the the income for, the revenue for. So we don't have plans to go out and seek users,
Gotcha.
especially without like making sure that there's some sort of way to attribute that to a creator. But what we're trying to do is really build a creator community that has all the resources to go out and drive their own subscriptions, their own subscribers to Recifix, so they get credit.
Yeah, that's great. What other ways are you different from other similar tools and platforms?
That's a great question. So I think our obvious goal is to be creator first, and I think that's one of the pillars that we want to stay on. So we're really trying to grow in a very organic way. We're trying to not go after VC. We're trying to make sure that we have a lot of control so that our creators are insulated and they're the ones that help us grow. And so they're the ones that get the benefit from it. So I'd say that's probably our number one. We are seeing a lot of these little like creator first recipe meal planning, not a lot, but that are actually starting to pay subscribers. So like if you look at, or pay for subscriptions. But if you look at like Substack, they are building in the infrastructure for recipe cards. But they're genuinely not, you still have to subscribe as a user to one creator, and you're only getting access to that one creator. So I think for the users, we're a little bit different in that we have the curated collection of creators rather than having to go and subscribe to one. But I know that there are still a couple of creator first monetization platforms that have like the meal planning and the aggregated creator list, and they're still pay per click. So you're still chasing traffic, and the moment that you stop chasing traffic, then your income goes away. So we're slightly different in that we're trying to build a model that is more creator first and reoccurring revenue, where you don't have to work as hard to get that. Once you get that user in the door, you don't have to work as hard to keep them in the door, because our platform's doing the work of keeping them in the door.
Yeah. No, that was explained really well. And I love that you have a background in research and that you're really tuned into like really digging into what has worked, what is working, and that sort of thing, where you're not just like, oh, this is a great idea, let's put up that, like that carries weight for me. And I know for so many other people, you are committed to the data and all that goes along with it.
Yeah, so this whole, well, I will say half of it was built on my own frustration and his experience as a user, but I really did lean into my background and my knowledge of, what people wanted when it comes to recipes, what they're willing to pay for, how much they're willing to pay. And then even as we continue to grow, and then also, sorry, let me back up. It's also leaning into what I've heard from creators too. So this really wasn't like, oh, let's make it user first. I definitely want that. But I think the creator side carries just as much weight, and they have to have a good experience too. And there has to be some really good benefits for them. But yeah, all of it was really built on my knowledge that I've collected just being in the space and working with creators and hearing, their needs, what they're struggling with, what their fears are for future. And then, talking to their audiences and hearing the frustration around ads. And one thing that I've learned, and this is crazy, most like the average person does not go, okay, I'm on Pip and Abby and they're getting paid from these ads. Like, it is wild to me that people don't realize that. But yeah, so anyway, that was one thing that I learned over the years is the average person doesn't connect that this is your income and this is how you are able to provide the free content for them. But yeah, everything is rooted. I can't say everything. A lot of things are rooted in research. But then my personal experience, I was actually, when I came up with this idea, I was actually scrolling Pinterest trying to figure out what's for dinner for my own family. And I hit a wall. I clicked on like my fifth fake ad, because those ads now that are on Pinterest, and they're like, send you to Amazon for like the sheet pan, not the recipe.
Yeah, right.
I hit that and I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. There's got to be a better way that also lifts up creators and helps them build their brand.
Oh gosh, that's what we all want to hear. Um, is there anything else we need to know? I was actually gonna maybe have you walk through like what is required of a creator to use Recifix. Are you accepting new creators? Like, how does this whole process go? If you want to just break that down.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So what is required? The thing that we are really, really looking for, and we're looking to build a very small, tight-knit community of creators to start out with, because we are a startup. But we really want to focus on the first 100 creators being the voice for our brand. So we're looking for highly engaged creators that are going to upload regularly, and we'll say like once a week, and then creators that are going to consistently share, so that rising tides, right? They share, it builds our brand, and it builds their brand and their revenue. So those are kind of like the three main things that we're looking for. With that said, we want to keep it really, really small, because we want these particular creators to be the influence for Recifix, both externally with our users, but also internally. We want them, they know the experience. And, as I can know the experience, but I am not a food blogger. I love your guys' recipes and leverage them as a user. But I don't know the pains that you go through on a regular basis. And so being able to talk to you, build this platform truly for you. And I can't do that without knowing and being able to talk to you guys. So that's kind of what we're really looking for, is to build that really small, tight-knit community, and to have those active creators on the platform.
Yeah. So can people just go to your website to get more information about getting included?
Yep. So they can go to recifix.com, RECIFIX, my bad, I can't spell my own brand. Or they can actually just email me if they want to. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and we're pretty active there. But my email is, do we want to say my email?
I mean, we'll put it in the show notes probably anyway.
Okay, perfect.
So, I mean, if you're okay with that, that's fine.
Okay. So, and I am perfectly okay with that.
Okay.
So my email is Kristen, Kristen, at recifix.com. And they can email me personally. I'll help walk them through the application process. It's an onboarding process. It's not an application. But yeah, it's a fairly simple process. And and by the end of the process, you're fully active and ready to go.
Yeah. And are there a number of recipes you need on your blog or anything like that in order to get considered?
No, we are looking for quality creators. The only thing that I would say is, if you are using AI, because we definitely want to be creator recipes created. So one of our messaging to users is that it's trusted creators and tested recipes. So if you are using AI to build your recipes, if you're using AI to completely make your images, right? Like if they're just completely generated by AI, we do some quality control on that. But we're not really excluding creators. And I would say that this platform does work the best for creators who have food blogs already, because that's where you can upload very quickly and easily. For influencers and social first creators, while we aren't not accepting social influencers or food influencers first, it is a little bit harder of a process for them, because they have to manually upload their recipes, whereas we have some easy back end stuff that we do for our food bloggers.
Okay. I just had this thought. This is an investment. Doing stuff like this, Recifix, and thinking, outside of our normal stream of income and traffic and all of that, this is an investment in our businesses. And kind of what I said earlier, it might feel messy now as you lean into different routes, but it really is going to pay off. I think you're just opening the doors for building relationships and building a more solid business overall. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. And I think that we at Recifix really do try to make it as easy as possible and as painless as possible. So we leverage, again, the things that you've already built and the work stream that you're already used to. So you're not having to change your habits. You're just kind of adding, oh, I need to go once a week and add a URL, and then don't forget to share regularly. And you're already doing that. You're just kind of sharing different things. And I will say, as kind of an opportunity to just say this, like, we don't want to compete with your blog. Like, there are still going to be moments where people don't want to pay for that premium experience. And that's going to be like 80% of people. Like, we aren't looking for the people that are okay with the ads and okay getting that experience or want your story, like want all of that stuff. And they're still going to your website. We don't want to compete with it. We want to support creators in a way that also gives that 20%, that small amount of people, and it's still a large amount of people, but that small percentage of your audience that wants that premium experience. We want to be able to give them that experience, but also help you monetize on that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a win-win all around. I don't know.
I like to think so.
You've told me from day one, just with your authenticity, Kristen, and
Thank you.
I feel like you come from such a good place, and it really benefits us as well. So yeah,
Yes,
there's no downside.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to know before we say goodbye?
I would say don't be afraid to make the shift. I know it's a different idea, thinking of going out and getting traffic and being discovered versus having that subscription. Like you said, don't be afraid to build in different layers in your foundation that, help you grow your brand. And even just looking, even if it's not Recifix, of course, come join us at Recifix. But even if it's not Recifix and there's another model out there that fits you, like, continue to add things to your brand that help you become more stable, because Google is already showing signs of being unstable. AI is right. Like, AI is. I mean, they're a giant. Like, I say that, and it's but there are some signs that they're you guys are feeling the instability with Google traffic. AI is coming, and we don't know exactly what that's going to look like in 6 months compared to a year, compared to 5 years, and what that's going to either how we can leverage it in a better way, or how that's going to continue to gobble up our traffic, your traffic. So I would say, continue to build those layers and continue to offer different products and ask your audience what they actually want, because that will help you in a long way. I know Megan, you and I had a conversation last year about, how important it is to understand your audience. And you do that through asking them and having conversations with them to understand what they like about you, what you can provide to them, and, how you can diversify your income beyond just the traffic piece or the ad piece.
Yeah, so much value. Gosh, I've gotten a lot from this conversation, and I know my listeners will as well. So thank you, Kristen, for all of this.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, so great. We'll put together show notes. So we'll put your email address and everything else we talked about in your show notes in case people want to go peek there. You can go to eatblogtalk.com/Recifix. And just to spell that again, it's RECIFIX. And then just to reiterate where people can find you, do you want to say it one last time?
Yeah, so you can find me at recifix.com. Megan spelt it. I'm not going to botch my own spelling again. Or you can find me at Kristen at recifix.com as well. Or
Amazing.
LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for being here, and thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time.